Good morning, my brothers. Welcome to the Dear Brother Podcast. Sorry so much this morning for the mix up with the my live recording. Usually I'm live every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. I was having an issue this morning with the live stream. It just would not cooperate this morning. Got to see what's going on with my streaming service. But good morning, everybody. Thank you for all the listeners, all the faithful listeners who come on at 6 a.m. on Monday, Thursday, and Friday to hear me. My apologies for the technical difficulties, but I did not want the morning to go by without me shooting the video that I can put up and you guys can still watch later on. Thank you to all the new subscribers, man, that are part of the show. Thank you to everybody, man. This show belongs to us. If you didn't watch, we wouldn't have a show. So thank you, man. To see us go from 10 subscribers to almost 1,400 subscribers, man, that's really big to me. And it's because of you. You guys make this show, and I really am appreciative. So welcome to the Dear Brother Podcast every this morning, everybody. Again, I record or I go live every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. I also put up videos on other days. So it's not just the days I go live that I put content up. New content is up almost every day. Shorts go up every day. So thank you all for listening and watching. I want to talk about change today. I think a lot of times we get caught up in things in society or even things right now in government, and we look around and we look and we say, oh, I wish things would change. And really, man, what I'm learning is change happens with us, right? And it's in a marriage, it's in raising our kids as fathers, as leaders. See, we can't lead sometimes, right? We can't lead when things are good. We also have to lead, man. When we're looking at change, we can't just give up and say, I wish that would change. It's really us. It's really us that changes. You can't sit around and wait for people to act right. You can't sit around for circumstances to get better. As men, sometimes we got to take all the time. We got to take the reins and say, look, I'm not going to wait for the storm to pass. Sometimes I got to decide to get in the storm, right? Other times you got to decide to decide not to get in the storm. See, you got to know, man, but as men, you can never just sit back and wait for people to change, wait from circumstances to change. Things won't change unless you change. Right. And a lot of the times the change is not always physical change or you jumping into a battle. I'm learning, man, as I get older. I'm 45 now. So I'm learning as I get older that really change is mental, change is inward, change is soulish. And when I say soulish, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about how we're made as people. Right? Everybody has a soul, and the soul is made up of three things: your mind, your will, and your emotions, right? Check that. Your soul is made up of three things: your mind, your will, and your emotions. And so when you deal with that dichotomy, which we are, really change begins in you. And when things change in you, things begin to change around you. I'm gonna tell you. I was telling some brothers last night, we can't change everything by might. Some things has to be changed in mentality. That's really the power of a man. It's not might, right? Sometimes you have to fight. Sometimes you have to use strength, but most times it's the mentality. And if you change how you think, things will change around you. I feel led to say this to some brothers who are looking for your relationship to change. A lot of times it's in you changing your approach that causes her to change. And how do you know whether you need to be with somebody or whether they're fit for your life? You learn that by saying, okay, I done changed everything about me. Whatever's the issues you deal with, whether you need humility, whether you got to cut down your pride, whether you got to deal with anger issues, a lot of things we deal with as men. When you change all these things and that person just refuses to change or refuses to respond to that change, they probably don't belong in your life. But otherwise, in most situations, man, when you're really, really with the right woman, what happens is she begins to change because you change. You set the tone, right? You set the tone. You do. You're the thermostat, man, not the thermometer. You don't read what's going on in the room. You decide what's happening in the room. Same thing with your family. You can cut down the chaos in your family by cutting down the chaos that's within us. And chaos is not always rage. Chaos is not always you going off. No, sometimes the chaos lives right here and things around you respond to who you are, how you act. So let's talk about it this morning, man. Let's get into this change thing. I want to talk about 5 different things that I think that we really need to change in order to get where we want to go as men. See, all of us want a peaceful life, but guess what? You got to create that peace, right? Lately, a few years ago, it's been this term of look for a woman that'll be your peace. What I'm learning, man, is that you got to be your own peace and then decide who's allowed inside of that. See, that's the responsibility I'm saying as men. That's why we had a Dear Brother podcast. And this channel is for grown men that want to grow. You hear what I'm saying? We don't sit here and blame people and blame situations? Do we acknowledge the things that have happened to us? Absolutely. We acknowledge the traumas that have happened to us to cause us to be a certain way? Absolutely. But at the same time, we don't wallow in that pain. We decide what we're going to become. We decide the things we got to do within ourselves to be stronger men. You understand? Mentally, right? To lead the lives we really want to lead. So let's get into it, man. I want to talk about 5 aspects of change. I think the number one thing that I was thinking about this morning is that change happens um change happens when you decide who you're going to involve yourself with, right? So one of the biggest things you got to do is start to change what and who you involve yourself in, right? What you entertain, right? Because when it comes down to what you entertain, you become eventually what you entertain. No matter how strong you are, you entertain it long enough, you become it. I'm serious, right? That's why we got to watch even the algorithm that's in social media. We got to watch it because the stuff they push to you, if you watch it long enough, you'll start to buy into it, and they know you buy into it. That's why the algorithm rhythm is there, right? It knows what to feed you. So as a man, you got to decide what you feed you, right? Whether that's a physical diet, an emotional diet, a mental diet, you got to decide what you feed you. Don't let the algorithm just push things to you. You know how one of the biggest things that bother me now as I look at social media, again, I'm an older man. I'm not one of these young kids out here who just buy into all this stuff. But one of the things that bothers me now, even in the internet, is the almost absolute hate that the algorithm drives between men and women, right? As if we're not all we have. Think about it, right? You got men that can't stand women because they're watching this on the algorithm. You got women who can't stand men because they're watching this thing on the algorithm. And this is the thing: if women and men can't stand each other, how do we build families? See, that's why you got to decide from here what you're going to do and who you're going to be and who you're going to love. Don't let the algorithm and things like that to take in to decide what you're going to do, right? And not only is the algorithm, sometimes it's things you've been taught as a man growing up. One lesson my dad taught me growing up was, hey man, don't ever trust no woman. Right? I grew up with that mentality. In a lot of situations, I approached life that way. He taught me from the beginning. Before I had a chance to decide, I already was looking at who not to trust. And I start building relationships with people because you still want to be with a woman. But going into those relationships, I was always looking over my shoulders, watching my back. And a lot of times I was the one who was ending the relationship or trying to run out of it because of that thing in the back of my head, don't trust no woman. So because he taught me not to trust somebody, I was always looking for the shoe to drop. You see, what lessons were you taught? Right? What lessons were you taught that caused you to approach life in certain ways? Whether it was a relationship with a woman, whether it was how you raised your kids, whether it was how you approach situations in your job, whether it was how you approach things with anger or whatever it is. A lot of lessons we learn, man. You got to sift through that and see really whether some of those lessons weren't good for you, right? So when it comes down to change, man, it's about you changing your mind. The biggest thing is changing your mind. It's not always about changing your city. A lot of people feel like if I just move away, some of you college guys, if I just transfer to a new school. Let me tell you something I learned as a man. Wherever you go, there you are, right? A lot of times, if we're our own problem and we think that changing the woman, changing the city, changing the relationship, changing the car, changing whatever we do, or changing our bank account, listen, a lot of times it is you inwardly that needs to change because outward things won't change you, man. I don't care how much money you get. If you're a broken man, that money will only afford you things that will break you more. Right? If you are a broken man, you can have the flyest, fanciest car that everybody likes, but you'll still be you inside of that car. You can have the best woman in the world, but guess what? You'll probably end up ruining that relationship in a lot of situations because no matter who you get with, man, if you're going to bring your brokenness to it, where you are is where you're going to be, right? So in order to change things around you, you got to decide because there are some times, man, we involve ourselves with certain circumstances, situations, and people that really ruin who we are as men. So in order to change, you got to watch what you involve yourself in. Right. Some of us get stuck in cycles because we keep putting ourselves in the wrong situation over and over and over again. I know I've done that, put myself in the wrong situation over and over and over again. And then we wonder why life doesn't change. One of the best things you can do as a man is sometimes you got to pause, sit back, look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is you. Look at the movie of your life. right? Right. We all have a movie of our life, and we see different cycles that keep on happening year after year, decade after decade, right? Your choices put you in the same situations, and it's easy to blame who done it, right? But it's hard to really look at yourself and say, why was I there? Why did I put myself there mentally, emotionally, socially, financially? Why did I keep on putting myself in that situation? One of the smartest things you can do, man, is look at the cycles of your life. Look at the cycles of your life, the repeated things that happen over and over again. And because time goes on and life goes on, a lot of times you'll miss the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is not who to blame or who done things to you or just the consequences. Look at yourself. Why did I get there? How did I get there? And that's really the bigger question. See, it's not just about pushing forward, right? It's not just about pushing forward. It's assessing where you are because pushing forward doesn't make you grow. Pushing forward moves you further, but it doesn't help you grow. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Let me say it again. Moving forward, you will go forward, you will progress. But the question is, man, that you really got to assess is how am I progressing? Is this healthy progression or did I just muscle through? Right? Because if you keep on muscling through, that'll break you too. That'll break you worse. See, energy is you got to budget it. It's just like money, right? When you look at your money, you say, okay, I got to get from here to here. You look at it, you budget your money, right? But you also got to budget your energy as a man, your mental energy as a man, your emotional energy as a man. Does this thing, does this person, does this situation, does this circumstance deserve this part of me? And certain things don't, man. Seriously, certain things don't. Really look at it. Certain things didn't deserve that part of you, and you wasted your energy having that argument, having that debate where it wasn't even worth it, right? So preserve yourself. Change involves what you involve yourself in. Number two, change also what you invest your time in. Time is important as a man. We only have two things, two currencies as a man: our time and our words. We only have two currencies: our time and our words. See, so change who you invest time in. Look around your circle. If it's not building you, it's probably breaking you. Look at your circle. Seriously. Look at who you take this is about who you take time with. What am I spending my time? Who am I spending my time with? Who am I spending my time on? Right? Because if it's building me, it's building me. But if it's breaking me, it's breaking me. And sometimes you got to have that honest conversation with yourself, the man in the mirror, right? It's times when we have conversations with people. Oh, I wish you would change, or I wish you would be. Listen, if someone's in your life that ain't going to change, they ain't going to change. They're going to be who they are. The question is, who are you going to be, right? I'm gonna tell y'all an old story that I heard. It was a pilot and his co-pilot, and they kept on hearing this scratching noise, right? Scratching noise above their head in the that's a crazy sound, right? They kept on hearing this scratching noise in the plane, but above their head in the ceiling of the plane, right? And so the young pilot, the young co-pilot, kept on saying, "What is that?" Every time he heard it, "What is that? What is that?" He was looking up, and he said, "I'm gonna get this thing." So he grabs a stick and he goes and he's hitting the ceiling of the plane, right? And the pilot is saying, "Hold on, youngin, don't do that. You're gonna wind up breaking something up there. This is very important." He said, "But I gotta stop that sound, man. I gotta stop that sound. It's driving me crazy." And the old pilot says, "Well, listen, you can't break the equipment trying to stop the sound." Once the old pilot realized it's probably some type of rodent or something up there, and the young pilot said, "Well, how are we gonna get it? I got to get it out. Maybe I can take something down." He said, "No, no, don't take nothing down." The old pilot took the plane. As he's hearing this sound, he says, "Okay, I know how to stop the sound." He took the plane and he started lifting it up, 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 and the plane started going higher and higher and higher and higher. And as he lifted the plane, the young man's looking at him and said, "Why are you taking the plane higher?" He said, "Because whatever it is up there won't be able to exist as we go higher. The air will get thin and it will die." And as they going up, they're hearing the sound, hearing the sound, hearing the sound. And the plane goes up and up and up and up and up. And after a while, you hear this plump. And the old pilot looked at the young man. He said, "See, we got rid of it." Why? Because we took our plane to such a height that this thing couldn't breathe anymore. And I want to say that to some of you right now. There's some things in your life that are irritating your soul, irritating your mind, right? Irritating you, period. And you know what you got to do? Take yourself to a height where that thing can't breathe. That's really where you got to go, right? So change who you invest time in, man. Change who you invest time in. Number three, decide where your energy belongs. Again, energy is like currency. You got to budget it. You got to use it wisely, right? Decide where your energy belongs. A lot of us are simply drained in life because we're fighting battles that don't have anything to do with us. We're fighting battles that don't belong to us. We're fighting battles that we feel like sometimes as men, we put on our cape because we're fixers and we want to fix situations. But the real question you got to ask yourself is, does this belong to me? Does this battle belong to me? Is it mine? What do I have? What does it have to do with me? Is it worth it? If I do invest my time, if I do invest my energy, will it change anything at all? Sometimes, man, just because you're a fixer don't mean everything is for you to fix. Some things you got to leave right where they are. So what do? I got to focus on what matters because everything doesn't matter. I got to focus on what matters because, again, everything doesn't matter. I'm not repeating myself because I don't know where to go. I'm repeating myself because I want you to get this. I got to focus on what matters because everything doesn't matter. You hear that? You got to walk around with that, man. Make a t-shirt on it. Focus on what matters because everything doesn't matter. Right? As long as you think everything matters, you're going to be drained, man, because you're giving yourself to everything. Is this worth my time? Is this worth my energy? No, everything's not worth it. It's not. And you got to decide, man, is that for me? Now, when it comes down to your relationships, right? Even in a marriage relationship, it's not to say, hey, I don't care. But even if you're with another person, some things are for them to fix within themselves. And guess what? You don't want to try to fix something in your bride and your girlfriend. You don't want to try to fix something in her so much that you then begin to break the relationship because you didn't allow her to grow. Right? There are certain adjustments you have to make as a man to preserve yourself. You have to. It's very important. Just like your children, you can't save your children from everything. There are things in your children's life where you got to let them go ahead and figure that out. Right? The worst thing you can do is save your kid from everything. Right? Because they're going to go into society and they're going to have to learn how to navigate life. Now, guiding them is one thing, saving them from everything is another thing. Right? Let me take a pause. Let me take a pause for the calls right quick. Listen, I want you to go grab this book on Amazon.com, Home Where Hurt Men Heal. Go grab this book right now, man. It will help you learn and grow. It's on Amazon right now. Also, for some of y'all that might be looking behind me, this is a book I pastored for 26 years, and we did a lot of good work. And one of my challenges to the church is to become more than church goers, but become society shapers and shifters. And so, if you're interested in this book right here, it's called 1441. I left church to serve God. The numbers are because I started teaching at 14. I retired at 41, and this is when I really got the revelation, man, that a lot of times in church situations we're serving people and we're serving people's visions, but we're not serving God. And I think society would change if we stop just allowing church to define our Christianity and really grow up to realize that the church attendance doesn't define who you are as a Christian, is what you do for people. And most times is what you do for people outside of that church situation. So go check this book out. The first half of this book, I wrote what my life was like as a preacher at 14 through 41. The second part of the book, I wrote about a Nehemiah model, which I believe that if we involve people um, in their own gifting and allow people to touch the world instead of hoarding people in buildings, we will see a world change. So those books are available to you. Let me put them back up. Home Where Hurt Men Heal is available, and I Left Church to Serve God is available. And also, if you're looking for a great book for your wife, I wrote a book called The Soul of Sarah, and that's available to you as well. Go check these books out, man. They'll teach you a lot and they'll help you like they've helped me. Where do we leave off? Number three, or we decide where your energy belongs. Number four, change where you invest your love. And now we're coming down for relationship, right? Love just isn't about emotions. Love is an investment. Love isn't just about emotions. Love is an investment, man. That's what it's an investment. And you got to see it like that. You wouldn't just invest anywhere. Don't bust in my cup, y'all. This is how I drink my water, right? But love is an investment, man. It's not just about emotions, not just about how you feel. It's about, is this a good decision? When it comes down to choosing a woman, is this a good decision? It's not just about how I feel today. Is this a good decision? Will this take me further? I did a podcast on relationship. I do a podcast, my live relationship, live podcast every Friday is Relationship Friday. Go check out the last one. Right. We talked about this situation. Love isn't about emotions. I was talking about love versus compatibility. There's a big difference between love and compatibility. Go check out the video. I think it's called Love Is Not Enough. Go check that out. It's on my live feed. Go check that out. Love is not enough. Stop pouring into people and projects and relationships that don't pour back into you. See, it's exchange. It's an exchange. Love is an exchange. Project, pour into it, it's an exchange. You hear what I'm saying? And don't think that I'm talking selfishly. There are some people that you will never get anything from. It's not to say that you shouldn't invest in that, but I'm talking about relationally. If I'm building a relationship with a project, with a person, whatever I'm building my relationship with, there should be some exchange. You can't keep on pouring yourself into something that never gives you anything back, man. Some of you are with people right now that never give you anything back. There's no exchange. And the reason why you're dying in that relationship is because there is no reciprocation of love, right? Remember, love is a cycle, man. It's give and take, right? Don't be the man that just gives and expecting. Again, you're expecting this person to respond, man. You'll end up heartbroken. Once you realize that there is no response, man, you got to move to a healthier place. And a healthier place is not always a new person, but sometimes a healthier place is you. Are you giving yourself the love? That was one of my biggest things, right? I kept on choosing relationships that didn't give me anything back. And as a man, I could sit back there and blame the person. Oh, why I invested in you, you didn't give me nothing back, until I woke up and realized one day that the issue is really that I wasn't loving myself enough. I wasn't loving myself enough. And sometimes, and I don't know if it's just me, but it might be some of you guys too, that a lot of times you choose things that don't love you back because you don't love you back. You would choose wiser if you loved you. If you loved you, you would identify things that love you too. But if you can't identify things that love you, it's probably because you're not loving you enough. So you keep on choosing things that feel about you how you feel about you. Oh man, I gotta get out of here. I'm running out of time, y'all. Number 5, this is it. Change your perspective. Avoid stagnation and misplaced expectations. Sometimes we expect too much out of people, right? Sometimes our expectations, we always get our heart broken because we have expectations of people that wasn't there. It wasn't there. It wasn't in them to give you what you wanted to give, what you wanted from them. Right. And now you get angry at somebody not living up to an expectation. Well, guess what? That person never had it in them to give you what you expected. Can you be mad at them? No. Most times you got to be mad at you because your perspective was if I give, I give, they'll give back. No, not all the time. Not all the time. Stop expecting people to be who be different when they've always been the same. Right? Stop giving people the same chance to break your heart over and over again, the same chance to disappoint you over and over again. And whether it's a family member, a relationship, whoever it is, right? A lot of times our hope makes us think that something's going to change. And when in reality, that thing is never going to change. Y'all hear me? Let's end with this. At the end of the day, waiting on the world to change is just another excuse to stay where you are. If you want something different, you got to be different. You got to move different. You got to think different. Because once you change, everything else has no choice but to follow. Hey, I love you guys, man. Thank you for listening to the Dear Brother podcast today. Remember, guys, go get my books. I'm on Amazon.com. I'll put them back up. It's primarily Home Where the Hurt Men Heal. And also the other books I showed you earlier. You can rewind back to see those. But go get this book, man. It will help you. Also, visit my website for some of you guys that need coaching, counseling, man. Go on my website. Go check out my website, christianwinters.com. If you need some help, man, some insight, trusted voice in your life, you can go set it up. Set up your on my website right now on christianwinters.com. You can choose an appointment with me. They're half-hour appointments, 45 minutes appointments, whatever you need. The donation is a donation based. And why am I doing that way? I could be a capitalist and say, man, I want to sell everything. But I think that's the problem with the world today, man. We're trying to make money at every point. I believe that God takes care of me as I take care of people around the world. And that's what I do. Thank you to all my clients who have become part of the counseling. But go on christianwinters.com, set up your one-on-one counseling today. It's donation based, man. And the reason I did it because there's a time I was broken, horribly broken, and I didn't have any money for any type of counseling. And I wished I could talk to somebody, right? Some of you have money and you can be a blessing to the mission of me lifting men's lives up. And some of you brothers don't have anything. I don't want you separated from help because you don't have anything. So that's why it's donation based. But if you need help, man, go on christianwinters.com, hit the links on there and set up one-on-one counseling. Some of you that have events that you need a man to speak at, I'm available for that as well. You can book me on christianwinners.com today to come to your event, your school, your church, your masjid, wherever a gathering of men is, man. You can set up, book me to come speak at your event. All right. Let me end this podcast, everybody. Let me end the show like we always. Listen, you matter to me, but you got to make sure you matter to you. It is your duty, man, today to live this life with no fear, no shame, and no compromise. I want to end this show like I do all my shows. Yesterday is history, and tomorrow is a mystery, man. All you have is right now. What are you going to do with it? Listen, be brilliant today because you absolutely are. I love you, bro. Stand tall. I'll see you soon. Peace.